Welcome, everyone, to the No Heroes Left Behind podcast. My name is Darshan, Gabriel, Shanti, and I am your host. Here you're going to find veterans who have stared darkness straight in the eye, looked at it, and somehow found a way to stay. And these veterans are living proof that no matter how dark things look, no matter how hopeless they appear, there is another way. And if they can find that way, then so can you. And today I want to introduce an amazing man who I had the privilege of meeting sometime in the past year, who's had a heck of a career and completely surprised me when I found out that he fit the description for this podcast completely. And it just goes to show you that you just never know what people are going through. So with that, I'd like to welcome Mr. Mario P. Fields. Mario, thanks so much for being here and sharing your story and helping to save lives.
Hey, Darshan, thanks for having me on the show. And again, thank you for being a guest on my show about a month ago. So I appreciate you.
Well, you have a great show. You've been doing it a long time and it makes a big difference. And it was an honor for me to be there as well. And for you to say yes to this is really great.
No, I appreciate it. And for the listeners and viewers, if you haven't subscribed to Darshan's podcast, shame on you.
Shame on. Well, thank you for that. That's good. Hey, of all the help I can get, I appreciate that coming from you. So let's get into your story a little bit. Like, who were you? What was your life like before everything changed?
Yeah, I was, motivated, focused, purpose driven. I mean, all of that. Never suffered from depression. There's a viral video that is out there, the most motivated Marine, and so I was always positive, even when things were challenging. During my time in the Marines and in my personal life, I was able to handle it extremely well, Darshan. So before the shock to the system happened, yeah, just very positive, never depressed, never dealt with none of that stuff.
Isn't that amazing? Like
Yep.
what you, because people have this idea of what somebody who's suicidal is like. Oh, they're depressed, they're sad, they're anxiety ridden, they're on medication, all this stuff.
Hmm.
And here you were, Mr. Positive, and never had any of those issues
Mm-mm. Nope,
ever.
never. And at the time, I was 41, so 41 years of living, and nope, I would
Nothing.
no.
And how long were you in the service in the Marines?
26 years.
I mean, that's enough to depress anyone, but we won't talk about that right now. You should have joined the Army. I mean,
Man, I love the banter. Yeah, man.
good.
And, and, and
26 years in the Marines. Go ahead.
and Darshan, and that was even after going to Iraq and Afghanistan, like, being the drone soldier, like, just, some just very challenging times in the 20 plus years, and still never dealt with depression, never suffered that, never ever woke up one day and go, oh man, what's going on? Until.
Until. So what happened? When did it begin to unravel?
Ah, I was in Okinawa. I was the Camp Hansen, Camp Sergeant Major. I had three. I had three billets: Camp Hansen, Camp Sergeant Major. I was the brigade sergeant major, advising a brigadier general, and then I was MEF headquarters group. That is the headquarters for the whole Marine Expeditionary Force. So I had three positions, and it was the 4th of July, 2016. And my sister called. I'm in Okinawa. My sister called. She goes, hey, mom fell out of the chair, and Raymond, my older brother, is doing CPR. And I had just, my mom and dad lived in King George, Virginia. They had been married 45 years. And my mom and I was super close. Like I'm just like her. Like out of the four kids, she's like, Mario, you're my male version. And it's just she's just light skinned and pretty, and I'm dark and okay. So, um, and she's just like me, like same personality, very positive. You know, Fourth of July was her favorite day. The family, she had all the family over for a cookout, and I'm going, Mom. It's like like 6, 7 in the morning, Okinawa time. I'm like, Mom, CPR. Like, all right, sis. So call me back with an update. And then the phone rings like 20 minutes later. In my caller ID, it says, you know, your sister Trina. And I say, hey, sis, what do we got? And it was my dad. And my dad goes, Mario. I said, hey, Pops, what's up? He goes, your mom's gone. And it dropped me. It did. It it's Darshan, it was the first time in my life my heart was broken. Now here I am, the sergeant major. I did, and thank God for my wife. And thank goodness she's 4'10", because I was able to I lost all control, and I couldn't even do my own Red Cross message. Nicole had to do it, and I was devastated. I was devastated, and I'm still devastated. It's been 10 years, and that kicked off the grief, which I didn't know. That started it. Was speed up. I came back after a funeral. It was the first time I said, "Babe, we got a formation. I don't want to go. Like, I don't know if I have the strength to get in front of a regiment of Marines and for them to go, what's wrong, Sergeant Major?" I said, I don't want to go back to work. Like, I don't. Like, I want to call the general and the colonel and say, I'm done. The most important person in my life who by the way, my mom actually made me study in high school. And she was like, you're going to the Marines, you better study. And she made me study the Little Red Book, which turned into me being honor grad out of boot camp. Like her, yeah. Like I graduated meritorious Lance Corporal, and it was because of her. And she was just, Darshan was devastated. And my wife, she goes, Mario, you could do it. You've been through everything, you know, you could do it. And I had to put the mask on for the first time, literally. I didn't want to serve anymore. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to retire and just find a corner, because my number one fan, you know, the person who had really shaped me since I was a child, was gone. And what happened, Darshan, she had a VFib, so all four chambers of her heart closed instantly. She was gone before she hit the floor. So there was no, she wasn't sick. There was, you know, oh, you know, your mom's got cancer or whatever. So that kicked it off.
It's really
That
powerful,
started
your
the
story.
spiral.
I mean, clearly it's still affecting you. And I think that's a beautiful thing because your love was so strong, or still is so strong.
Yeah. And then it gets worse.
Well, go ahead.
So then my son is diagnosed with bipolar. And he doesn't mind me sharing this. I mean, we've been open about it. So Junior was diagnosed with bipolar. So we had to bring him to Okinawa to get a mental health evaluation. He was in college. He dropped out of college. Then they said, yeah, he's bipolar. I'm like, okay. And so so I was like, I now I got to retire, like, because you know, because Japan couldn't, they didn't have the resources. So, matter of fact, I was already approved for retirement. By the way, when Mom died, because I was like, all right, 26, 20, at the time 24 is enough. I want to spend time with my family. Like, Marine Corps is great, but I need to spend time with my family. And when that happened, I had to call the monitor, and he said, well, you have two options. We can pull your retirement, and we can transfer you to California where they have good medical system. You do 2 more years and you retire, or you can just send your wife back with your 20-year-old son, and they can deal with that. And you just retire next year out of 3 meth. I said, all right, pull my retirement, and I'll go to. And they said, well, Wounded Warrior Battalion West is available. I said, that's fine. And they were like, well, you work for a general. We can put you with another a general officer. I said, no, I'm good. I said, all right. So it's a lieutenant colonel. I said, I am cool. I will help caretake for the sick, ill, and injured. So they canceled my retirement. I had to re-enlist. And then get to Camp Pendleton with Junior, and then request for retirement again. And so dealing with that now, that was that was crazy. And I love my son, God bless him. And he's almost 30. But when you deal with that, he was in denial. And so he stopped. He didn't want to take his meds. So that became just brutal. Brutal, man. So now I'm dealing with that. So I'm taking care of the sick, ill, and injured at work. And then I'm coming home with an adult child who's bipolar, who's not compliant with meds. And then he's blaming us, for his circumstances. So that started to happen. Then my little brother, he was diagnosed with a autoimmune disease called scleroderma. And I did a podcast on that one. And he sends me a text. He goes, hey, dude, I'm in Duke. And I know I just had lung transplants last year, but not doing so well. And I'm in Duke ICU. And my O2 levels are dropping. And I remember that text. And I was like, dude, I'm flying in. I retire on June the 14th of 2019. Damien dies June 17th of 2019. So I'm grieving for Mom's death. Got Junior, that I got to deal with. Little brother dies. And the one thing my little brother used to always say is, he goes, I like my big brothers are my heroes. And I never see you. I tell people at work, because Damien was in cyber, and he'd be like, when I talk to the cyber folks, I go, I love my brothers, but it's like I don't have brothers because I never see them. I said, well, dude, I'm about to retire so I can spend time with you. And he died 72 hours later. So I'm dealing with that. And then here's the last component.
But wait, there's more.
There's more. And this is the last. All this happened within a 48-month window, man. And then my wife, who we didn't know, she has a rare autoimmune disease called autoimmune encephalitis. And I've done episodes on this one. What her immune system has been doing her entire life, which we didn't realize, is on occasion, her immune system will consider her brain a foreign object, and her immune system will attack her brain. And there's a movie on Netflix called Brain on Fire. Tyler Perry's in it. That's exactly what happened to Nicole. So we're at home. This is about 10 months after I retired. And next day, out of nowhere, she just becomes super paranoid. She's like, I don't know what's going on. She starts crying. Like, her emotions are all over the place. I'm like, are you good? Like, maybe it was the 26 years. Are you? And she's a veteran too. I'm like, are you good? Then she starts just becoming paranoid. And then like within days, she just becomes suicidal. Like, Nicole is like, oh, we're watching TV in the morning, man. We're drinking our coffee. And then out of nowhere, she goes, you know what? I know what I need to do. I need to kill myself. I'm like, what? And you could tell like something was off, dude. So I literally, thank God, again, I got a little bit of strength here. I had to pin her to the couch, and I had to call 911. We were in Southern California with this hand, and I had to call the Temecula police to come check her out. And they were like, we have to involuntarily commit her. And it's the pandemic. The pandemic had just started. So I literally had to walk my wife outside of the house that we were renting and helped the cops put the handcuffs on her because they said it was for her protection. But I couldn't go with her because it was during the pandemic. So to watch my wife to watch my wife in this mental state, which I had never, and we've been married. Nicole and I've been married now going on 32 years. So at that time it was, 27 years. And to have to help the cops handcuff my wife, realizing shit that her mental, like she's insane, like she is not functioning. And to watch her get put in a cop car, it crushed me. And so I had to hold it together. And then when I got in the house, I broke. So I'm grieving for the death of mom. I'm grieving for the death of my little brother. I'm dealing with a 21 at the time year old who is not he's in denial, doesn't believe he should be on medicine, doesn't believe he has a problem, and it was brutal. And then my wife's being involuntarily committed to a psychiatric hospital, all within 48 months, and
Wow.
that started the spiral.
I mean, look, anybody that would go through all of that would obviously be affected in a very strong and a negative and sad way. There's no question about it that. What did you keep telling yourself at this point? Because I guess your normal coping mechanisms, being a Marine, being a sergeant major, weren't working anymore.
Faith in the book of Job. It was faith. And I would never forget one day I was on the I-5 and my sister-in-law, so my little brother's wife, she called me and Angie goes, brother, she goes, brother, have you ever read the book of Job? And I said, Angie, I have not. She goes, read the book of Job. And I read the book of Job. And it was my faith. And every day, Darshan, I just said, I'm not gonna curse God. I'm not gonna say why me. There's a reason for this. And I'll make it through it. But my fear was how much damage psychologically was done. How long can I hold this together before I lose control of my cognitive ability to do it? And that was my fear. But it was my faith in the book of Job, man.
Faith is extremely powerful.
Oh yeah.
It is a lifesaver.
Yeah.
So what the spiral though did continue in spite of that. Somehow you got to the point where you didn't want to be around anymore.
Yeah. So right before that happened, um, things started to, Duke University, good, again, Duke. We had moved back from California to North Carolina. My wife had another flare up. The wonderful doctors at Camp Lejeune's ICU, one of the he was the I can't remember what he was a neurologist. He was the one saying, "I believe Nicole has autoimmune encephalitis." So we were able to get to Duke. They did a lumbar puncture, sent that to Mayo Clinic, and they confirmed it. So now we speed up. Junior's starting to do a little bit better. We're back here in North Carolina in our beautiful home. Nicole's on the right, not even meds. They have to suppress her immune system. So now she started to make progress. We figured her, things out. Not that I believe not as devastated with the death of my mom and Damien, which now I realize that it was still there. Just other things had kind of, you know, suppressed it. And then I get sepsis. And I did a podcast over that one. So now I'm feeling good. Things start to level out. And then it was October. Oh man, it was October 2022. And I go in ICU and they're like, how do you feel? I said, I feel a little off. They're like, yeah, your sitting heart rate's 150. And they're like, "You look good." I was like, "I just feel off." They were like, "Nah, we're gonna direct admit you. There's some blood work, dude." And they were like, "Oh, you are sepsis." And 2 hospitals later, almost 30 days in ICU, I lost like 40 pounds. I survived it, and I did a podcast episode on that. If you want to check it out, I did it audio and video like the end of 2022. I survived it. So now we speed up. So now I'm recovering. It's 2023. I'm feeling great. Yes. And then at the end of 2020, well, during 2023, I said, "Babe, I've been through a lot." We're not even talking Marine Corps stuff. We're just talking like that 48 to just a 4 year window. I said, "Babe, I said, I've been a lot. I know I'm strong. I have strong will, character, I have high self awareness, all that good stuff." I said, "But my fear is what damage has it done?" And then it started the end of 2023. I started to realize that when I would have a depressive moment, coping skills wasn't working. I was losing the ability to if I had a down day or whatever, I started losing the ability to do something to make me feel better. By January 2024, I started noticing that I would get real irritated with Nicole on some simple stuff, which is not my character. I realized that habitually, without me thinking, I'm just a positive person, and I've been using humor since I was a kid. Well, that can work against you because on the surface, my wife is like, "You seem fine, like you look happy," and inside, I was getting destroyed. March of 2024, I was driving to an appointment at the Naval Medical Center in Camp Lejeune, and I was like, I reached the rank of sergeant major. I started nonprofit. I got a podcast. I raised my kids. I protected. I provided. I led them. I've been successfully married to my wife since I was 19. My daughter's about to have a granddaughter. We're good. Well, what's left to achieve? It's time to go. So my what I believe was successful in my life started to work against me. I was like, what do you have left to achieve? You've made an impact on people. What's left? So there was an F-150 driving the opposite direction. I was going to my appointment. F-150 was driving the opposite direction. I was like, "Mario, all you got to do is cross the yellow line, head on. You're doing about 55 miles per hour, and we're good." And I was super comfortable, Darshan, with that. And then that's when I said, "Okay, I got to tell my doctor." So I told my doctor. She got me a referral. She goes, "We're going to put you in with a psychiatrist." She goes, "Are you open to any medication?" I said, "Hell yeah!" Like, I just don't want to kill myself. So in between the time I saw my PCM and I was waiting for my initial appointment, it was the end of March or maybe the first week of April because my appointment was like in a couple of days. It was 2 in the morning, and I was slowly like I was just like becoming numb from the time I went to my doctor with the vision of the truck until I saw my psychiatrist. Every single day, I was just becoming numb. In other words, I had no emotions. I didn't care about anything. I didn't want to podcast. I didn't want to do anything. I just didn't want it. I didn't want to talk to people. You text me, and I wouldn't even respond because to me, it was so much energy to text you back. So I wasn't even responding to people. And then it was about 2 in the morning. Still remember this. I got up to use the bathroom, and when I came back in the bathroom, I walked on the right side of the bed, and I was just numb. And I stared at my wife. She was sleeping. Our two dogs were in the bed, and I was like, "She's good. She could take the life insurance. Um, there's nothing left. There's nothing left." I was like, "So all I gotta do is go in the closet." So I got a couple of belts, just hang myself, and we're good. You lived a wonderful life. You can go see your mom. You can go see your little brother and the family. You've done your job on this earth. And I stood there, and then the only thing what I did was I said, "Dear God, help me get in the bed and help me put my CPAP mask on. And if I can go to sleep and not do this, I believe we're good, but I need your help, or else it's over. And no emotions. And got the energy to get into bed. I prayed, got into bed, and even the prayer, I didn't feel anything. Like I just did it out of habit. And I got into bed, put my CPAP mask on, and then the next day I woke up and I said, "Okay, it's game on. Just 48 more hours. I go see the psychiatrist, and that it was my faith, man. Other than that, mm-mm. And it taught me, Darshan, that before that happened to me, I used to when I saw someone, unfortunately successfully commit suicide, I would go, "Why didn't they ask for help? All they had to do is call me." Or like people like me who are very positive. Oh, we didn't see any signs. Like there was no signs. Why didn't they ask for help? After going through it, I'm going, yeah, I see why. It's complex, and it's complex, and it can happen, and it just doesn't happen overnight. It's a build up. You just got to be aware that it's building up. Yep.
People can't ask for help like you couldn't. You were numb,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely numb, and you just. I tell people this all the time when people say people take their lives, they're selfish. I'm like, no, they're not.
Mm-mm.
They they don't have any other way to deal with it. This, to them, it's a better way to do it so that they're not a burden to anybody else and they're out of pain. And you were in so much pain that you couldn't even feel anymore.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
And
You,
Darshan, the fundamental difference that I realized after going through it is when I had depressive moments, I could control and think through, like, things to react to it and respond to it. When I got to major depression, which is clinical depression, MDD, major depressive disorder, the fundamental difference for me is I had lost control, and that is where it separated. Where when I have depressive moments, I can call Darshan or talk to my wife, and I'm very open. But hey, babe, I'm just feeling a little down today. But when I got to major depression, I lost the cognitive ability to do that. And so I learned that no, it's not. Because I used to be that way. I used to be like, why didn't you just call me? Oh man, why didn't that Marine just call, why didn't that young man just reach out to the gunny or Sergeant Major first or whatever? When I went through it, I'm like, okay, now I see probably why. You lose control. I did.
you're typical. That's what happens with so many people. I've had my own experiences, not quite on that level,
Yeah.
but I understand what it's like to be able to normally take control and react and respond and have a positive outcome regardless. And then you get to a point where it's just like, I can't get a hold of this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I need help. And I'm so glad you talked about that because so many veterans, people in general, but veterans, they don't want to reach out for help. Well, what are we all programmed to do? Suck it up and drive on.
Mm-hmm.
When you're
Yeah.
in the, you've been through it. You've been through many battles, and you can't let your emotions get the best of you, or else you and your men are going to die. You got to compartmentalize it. You got to put it away. And then it just gets buried in deeper and deeper and deeper. We're all human. We're not machines. It
Mm-mm.
has to come out at some point, whether that's constructive or destructive. It's coming.
Yeah. 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 And and Darshan, one of the key things you mentioned, uh, you have, ask for help and then ask yourself, well, what does help look like? Define help for yourself. And for me, it was making that appointment, telling my PCM on what my primary care manager on what vision I had on the way to the appointment, that was looking back my way of saying I need help. Because what I discovered with me is, you know, not even thinking about it, my attitude and my natural ability to be funny really masked it, and I wasn't trying to mask it. So I'm one of those people where you can't see it. You cannot see it. My wife couldn't see it. She's like, "You just seem so happy." Nicole and I have been married for decades, and she couldn't even see it. And she's like, "You just look so fine. Like you did your podcast and you were funny." I was like, "Baby, I'm so depressed. It's not real." She's like, "I can't see it." Yeah. So help is powerful, but defining how to do it for yourself before it's too late. Because if I didn't have the courage, unarmored, right? Unarmored podcast, if I didn't have the courage to remove my armor to tell my primary care manager, then it would have been too late. But because I did that, I knew I had about 48 hours to 72 hours to go, see my psychiatrist, and that saved me. Yeah. So yeah, Darshan, you got the courage to deploy. You have the courage to put your life on the line to protect our nation's most precious jewel called freedom. Have the courage. Less than a millisecond ago, I need some help. I don't know what help looks like, but I need some help.
It's that is so incredibly powerful for me. Your story, I resonate with a lot of it. Um, my mom passed away 2 years ago. In 2 days, it'll be 2 years.
Mm.
Um, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Because we talked about it on your podcast, but my accident, and that's my hand now versus a normal hand, and my head split open, all the things that caused, and losing work and not having any income, and then realizing that I can help veterans because I'm now differently abled. But it sent me into a pretty bad spiral myself.
Hmm.
And so your story really touches me. I had no idea it was this deep. And I really resonate because I'm the same way. I always got excuse me, a smile on my face.
Hmm.
I'm always telling jokes. I'm always trying to cheer people up. And people had no idea that
Hmm.
underneath how much pain I was in, how
Yeah.
much struggling I was doing, and I had to get help.
Yeah, Darshan, and my prayers and hearts, go out to you for the loss of your mother, and even when you're on the show, the things that you've been through, but yeah, and then grief. See, I was trained in the Marines to, we're trained. You go to combat, you can probably lose some life. You may lose your life. We trained on that stuff. No one trained me on grief when it comes to personal loss. So I didn't even realize I was grieving. And grieving and depression, they're not the same. I had to learn that when I got, shout out to Tony Lynch, and I would tag him when I post this. I got connected with, and Tony was on my podcast. I started getting connected with these folks who had deep loss, and they started these groups of how to grieve as men and women, and and what grief is, and it's okay to grieve, but you got to understand what it is. And I realized that I was grieving before before any of that stuff. And then, oh, by the way, Darshan, here's another layer, and I'll share this on the show, Unarmored. My PTSD is not what a lot of people think. I've been to combat, I've been did all that stuff. My PTSD is from I for 20 plus years, every time I got on a helicopter, deployed, anytime that the probability of dying was super high, I would convince myself I had already died. And I started developing this narrative decades ago that Nicole had remarried. I would have a vision of they've already been at the funeral, kids moved on, and I'm gone. Well, the issue with that, when I went through my VA mental health screening, by the way, everyone, make sure you get that mental health screening. have some courage. When I went through that, the psychologist or psychiatrist, whatever she was, she goes, how many times, what else? I said, so I think about death naturally about 20 and 30 times a day. I said, but I'm used to it. She goes, that is not normal. She said, well, what's happening is every time the adrenaline would go up and this and that, your brain was like rewiring. And I said, I just thought that was normal. I thought everyone did that in the military. She's like, hell, no, like, no. And so I was like, yeah, I can be at a birthday party and I'll be like, well, this is stupid. We're all going to die anyway. So, or I would, landscape my yard and I'll be like, man, I got to make sure this landscape is perfect because when I die, like whoever buys this house, they're going to be like, man, this dude really took care of this house. So now that is my underlying PTSD is I constantly go, yeah, Mario, you're not here. Like you're doing this stuff, but it doesn't matter. You're going to go. On top of everything else, the depression and grieving. So it was a double whammy.
Double, triple, quadruple, quintuple whammy with all of that stuff. My goodness gracious me. And so what has happened as a result? Did the meds help, the therapy, whatever you went
Oh,
through, did it help to turn that around?
sir, yes, sir, man. My doctor looked at me. He goes, "Are you open to trying some Lexapro?" I said, "Hell yeah!" And I mean, now granted, I got a lot of animation. And I'm good today, but there was no. I looked at Dr. Salinas. I was like, "Yes." He was like, "My goal." He goes, "What's your goal?" So my goal is to get rid of this suicidal stuff. He goes, "All right, let's do 30 days. Let's get rid of it. Come back." I came back 30 days later. I said, "The suicidal stuff stop, doctor." He goes, "What's your next goal?" So my next goal is to get back to my natural personality of being positive and funny. I said, "This is a complete departure. I am not an introvert. I'm not, yes, no, like I'm a DI permanently." And so we increased the dosage. And so I was on Lexapro and with therapy for about a year, and then so it was spring of 2025 when I got off of it, and I've not been on like depressants for MDD over a year and almost a year and a half. And so yeah, so the only thing I deal with now is seasonal affective disorder. When the fall comes, and my doctor, and we work some good coping skills and a little bit of medication to help with that, and it's been wonderful. But that's it. Like no major depression. Off of Lexapro, like really antidepressant stuff. So, yep.
That's phenomenal. Those drugs have helped so many people. Obviously, they all work different on different people. I've tried
Yes.
several that did not work well with me. Um, not on anything now. They wanted to put me on something, but I'm okay at the moment. So let's just see if we can continue down that path. I'm getting other help, and doing this work actually helps me.
Yes.
Um, Doing work where I feel like I'm serving, where I'm making a difference, where I have a purpose and a mission. And that's one of the reasons that I share this, because if people or whoever watches this feels like, what's the point? Why go on? And they've lost that purpose and that lost that mission. I'm here to say that their mission continues, that there is a way. And all we got to do is find that, whatever that might be.
Yeah.
And that's part of what I like to share. It's just because the battle's over on the field in life, sometimes these battles are even harder because you
Yeah.
can't really see the enemy.
No, and it's internal.
Hey, right. And you can't take out the enemy with a good shot.
No,
No,
no. And
no.
Darshan, like your platform, it's therapeutic too. Like this was, I'm rarely hosted on a podcast, and to remove my armor, and normally I'm doing the opposite, but I would share with you, it's very therapeutic. And to your point of purpose, and folks who are or will deal with it, I didn't see it coming, you know, is don't compare yourself to anyone else. Everyone's challenge is uniquely different for you. So don't go, oh, Mario went through this, I can make it. Darshan and Mario are just so positive. Um, you know, so I need to learn how to be like them. No, listen to the wisdom in our experiences, but don't compare. Do not compare. That would be my recommendation. And then the last thing is purpose. There's studies about folks that are depressed, have depressive moments, or could go into major depression. And if they don't have purpose, that just reinforces what's going on internally. So get out and help people. Go to your church, your local church, or a homeless shelter. But the more you put a smile on someone's face, it could make a difference.
I believe that fully. By the way, I never had major depression because I was enlisted. I only had E4 depression.
Well, I had sergeant major depression. That's part of why it was so in the ionosphere. That's
And
probably, hey Darshan, that's probably how I got major, sergeant major. So they say, so you got major, but we're going to take you to major
we're
depression.
going to go.
You got to get that on your resume, your life resume. That's how I
Your
looked at
life.
the God. I said, God was going, man, your resume, your your life experience needs to be beefed up.
you you said it very well. I appreciate the humor. It's part of our personalities. It's what helps keep us going. And I absolutely love what you said about not comparing.
Mm-mm.
I it actually made a difference for me because people could look at me and have no idea that I've had all of this stuff going on. No, zero idea. They're like, "What are you talking about? You're so positive. You're always happy. You're always smiling. You're always
Mm-hmm.
helping people." And that is so critical that you brought that up. It's so critical for people to understand. You just never know. And I started the podcast off by saying this, and I'm saying it again. I didn't see it in you. It didn't even occur to me that this would have happened to you. And when we first talked about it, and like, you'd like to be on the podcast, and I'm like, well, you got to be suicidal. Like, well, that's not you. Like, I'm thinking, you're not. That's not you. So, like, why you can't come on the podcast? And you're like, Darshan, I wouldn't have asked to be on if that wasn't me. And like my whole world just like went, whoa.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I stopped judging
Mm-hmm.
a book by its cover. I stopped thinking I knew, and I just take people where they are and go from there. And I'm really truly grateful that that happened.
No, I I appreciate it. And the thing is, Darshan, I had people go, yeah, we all wear a mask. And I'm going, I'm not wearing a mask. What you see is what you get. It's just habitual. And like you don't go, oh, I'm gonna show I'm happy, or I'm gonna be animated just for 10 minutes. And then no, it's me naturally. Like you said, Darshan, my own wife during my depression, she's like, you're funny as heck. And I'll be like, yeah, babe, but I hung the hammocks and I didn't hang myself, and I'll just make a joke and she'll be like, Mario. It's habitual. Like, so it's not like we think about, oh yeah, I'm just gonna come up with some jokes. So yeah, it's the judgment, and we don't have the full beard. We don't look sad. We're disheveled. We're dirty clothes. When you see those people like, oh, they're super depressed, and how can I help you? Call me. It's us when we go, yeah, I'm a little depressed. And people go, yeah, not you. No,
Guilty. Guilty as charged.
no way. I
Mario.
did a post, Darshan. I did a post on my Facebook. I still have it. And I took a picture and I said, this is what major depression looks like. And people started commenting, um, you look happy. They thought I was talking about someone else. My own brother, Raymond and I are 17 months apart. Raymond's like, dude, you look motivated as hell. And I said, that's why I did the post. And I wasn't smiling. I was just, this is what depression looks like. They're like, hoorah, you're motivated. Thank you, Sergeant Major. I'm like, dude. And I did it to test my hypothesis.
Wow. Wow. Well, what would you tell a veteran who's in the same place you were in? Maybe not the same circumstances, maybe some of the same, but it's just started getting buried and they started grieving and everything started
Yeah.
stacking. What would you tell them?
I would tell them spend an enormous time on getting to know you, yourself. Start there. Who are you? Why do you feel this way? Why do you have these biases? What affects you? What triggers you? A lot of times what I've seen is a lot of people don't even know who they are accurately. So first, who are you? Why do you think that way? What's your biases? What is happiness? That's a fleeting thing. Take the finger, go this way first. Who are you? Second thing is, if you don't have faith, you got to ground your soul in something. And my recommendation is get the basic instructions and basic instructions before leaving Earth, the Bible. You better anchor your faith and your spirit in something. And then the third thing, if you got the courage to go to combat or say, hell, go to boot camp, that's just the courage to go lose your freedom. You got the courage to do that. You should have the courage to at least go to a medical professional and say, hey, look, I feel comfortable with you. I'm going to share with you what's going on in my mind. And then off what you believe should happen. Those are three tips I can just basically give. Who are you? Know
I love it.
yourself. And here we go.
If you get the courage to go into battle, you can do this.
Yep.
And along those lines, if given who you are now after this whole are over,
Yeah.
if you could have stood beside yourself or sat beside yourself when you were ready to end it, what would you tell yourself?
I would tell myself exactly what happened that night. Pray. And I did. So what I did that night, and if I was standing next to myself, I wouldn't change it. You, Mario, Job, go ground your faith, get in that bed, put the CPAP mask on, and let's start all over tomorrow.
That's that's beautiful. I love it. So we can wrap up with this question because I like to leave everything on a high note. Give somebody some meat to take away from this. What right now? Because it's what I say in the No Heroes Left Behind movement. Uh, it's what I say in my song that hope begins with you.
Yeah.
Hope begins with me. Hope begins with anybody picking up the phone and doing a buddy check. So, what gives you hope today?
Yeah. So we'll leave on a positive note. I'm 5'2.5", and the average male is 5'8". If I can have courage to still have some confidence as a endangered species, I tell people, I said, if it's not too many 5'2" males on Earth, when I see them every 10 years, we embrace. So if this endangered species of a man could just be confident, just living daily, not walking into a store on my tippy toes, you can have courage, man.
Well, I'll introduce you to my brother because he's 5'2".
I got to meet him. It's not that many. And one of my running jokes, Darshan, is if you hit me, it's a felony.
Well, my brother just sued the city because they built the sidewalks too close to his ass. So,
And then the other thing is, you said leave everybody on the high point. We got to be accurate. I got to leave everybody on the low point because everything I do is thighs and below. It's all low altitude.
On the low, keeping it on the down low right there.
Hey, that's why when I trip and fall, it's quick. People don't even realize
It's
I did it.
quick. You don't
Yeah.
even hurt yourself.
Oh no,
You're so close to the ground.
it's fast.
Oh man, that made my head hurt. I love that. Oh man, my
Hey, Darshan, when I trip and fall, how the sidewalk has a different elevation and your foot kind of
yeah.
hit you. Oh. That's what they think would happen. But I completely fell and got back up. They're like, "Oh, Mario, you kind of stumbled."
You know, you're I had no idea, all kidding aside, that you were 5'2" or 2.5, whatever. Because you carry yourself so well. Like if you would have said you were 6 feet, I would have believed you.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
believe. I appreciate it, Darshan. I believe that God knew I was going to be short, and my mom jinxed me anyway. She was like, "You just like your mom. You're never going to get as tall as your mom," which I didn't. But I think he's like, well, I'm gonna give him a deep voice. So it's a weird combination. You got this 5'2.5" dude with a voice sound like Barry White.
Man. And you were looking up to people who were way below in your rank that were much taller than you.
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
That's why I got
Yeah.
10% VA for my neck. you said
Oh,
you said you
oh,
said you wanted to end this in a positive way. You know
oh,
me, man.
God, that hurt.
Hey, when
Woo!
I went through my VA screening, they was like, "So your neck? Can you tell me how's the service connected?" I said, "Yeah, for 26 years."
I'm looking
Yes,
up.
sir. Yes, corporal. I'm always looking up, and so I think I need
Oh
10% for
my
that.
God. That was funny. I have tears in my eyes. That was funny.
And you can
My
clip that one. You can Opus clip that one.
Opus clip it. Yeah, there we go. All right. Is there anything else you'd like to say to wrap this beautiful episode up, Mario?
If guys, if you want to find me, you just put my name in ChatGPT or search engine, it'll come up. Again, I'm on all the social media platforms. Please follow Darshan, subscribe. If you know anyone that can be a wonderful guest on the show, it's very therapeutic. Please send them Darshan's way. And then Darshan, I'm so thankful for you and everyone who served and continuing to serve, or even family members that are supporting our veterans. Thank you so much. I love you guys. God bless you.
Well, thank you for being on the show. You really made an impact on me, and everybody who watches this is going to feel the same way. God bless you. Thank you, and we will talk soon, sir.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Darshan.
All righty, I just stopped the recording.